Hello, I'm Tony Goldstone. So in this video I'm going to take you through one of the further intermediate tabs, which is step 2b, or the retirement zone review tab. So I'm going to click on that from the table of contents, and then that takes me straight through to step 2b, or the retirement zone review. So I'm going to take through the rows as I have in the previous videos. So we can see row 7 shows our age in whole years. Row 8 shows our estimated pensionable salary based on our current salary in increments, predicted pay growth, and any other changes that you put in on step 1. Row 9 is the tax year starting, so 2033 is the tax year 33/34 ending March 31st, 2034. And then target 10 shows our target pension. So you remember in the initial step, by default, there's a target pension of £50,000 in today's money. So for example, if you're planning on retiring at 60, which for this consultant is in 2038, that £50,000 needs to be £76,000 to be equivalent after inflation. So we've got an option over here just to change the highlight to make it easier to see. So for example, if you want to go at 56, you would select it and it just makes it yellow, just a little bit easier to see on the screen, and also if you print it out. But for the purpose of the video, we'll just keep it at predicted retirement age 60. So as in step 2a, in the sign values at the top, we show the values that you see in your TRS statements. So for example, we can see that this consultant would have a legacy pension in 95 or 2008 of £26,000. They would have a pension of £81,000 in the 2015 section, making a very healthy looking pension of £107,000 in total. But it's very important to realise that these TRS values bear no relation to the pension that you're actually getting by the time that they have been reduced for actuarial reduction or reduction from scheme pays and or lifetime allowance. So you can see that value of 107 is very much above these values, for example, of 78 or 57. And of course, that's 20 years hence from now, so those values are worth much less now. And then underneath that, in row 15, we've got the theoretical lump sum, which is based on that 1995 or 2008 choice pension. And then we show the theoretical value for lifetime allowance. And again, it's very important to not get too wound up about this value of lifetime allowance outside of the context of the actuarial reductions, because it looks like this consultant is way above the lifetime allowance at all of these ages. So we're predicting lifetime allowance will be 1.538 million by 2038, and this consultant's way above it at 2.2 million. But you can see by the time we've got actuarial reduction, even if this consultant is self-paying, there's a very small lifetime allowance charge. And in fact, no lifetime allowance charge, even if it's self-paying at 58 or below, where it says no charge here. And again, you can see at 58 is well above the lifetime allowance at 2 million versus predicted 1.478 million. And that's because the lifetime allowance is calculated after all of these reductions for actuarial reduction and or scheme pays. So then if we come down to rows 23 to 25, we can see that there's different actuarial reductions for the different sections of the scheme and for pension and lump sum. So for example, if you go at 60, we've got an unreduced pension in terms of the legacy pension and lump sum, but a pension reduced by about a third from the 2015 scheme. So that £81,000 pension would be reduced by 33%. Or you can see here the total value of the reduction is around £27,000 of pension. If, for example, we were going to go at the earliest age of 55, we can see that the 1995 pension and lump sum are reduced by 20% and 11% respectively, and that 2015 pension is reduced by almost a half, 46%. So we go from this value of £81,000 down to £50,000. So again, although it looks like we're way over the lifetime allowance at 1.7 versus 1.39 million, we're actually in reality nowhere near lifetime allowance by the time those reductions have taken place. So I'm just going to put that back to 60 for the video. So we can again see we've got three basic models. We've got self-pay, scheme pays, and the advanced and hokey options. So starting with the self-pay option, this is an option where you pay all the annual allowance tax yourself, and that's coming from your post-tax income. So we can see in row 34, this yellowy line here, we've got the tax charge in each tax year. So in this year, age 60, this consultant will have had to have found £24,500 from his post-tax income to pay his charge for that year. And then in row 35, we can see the cumulative annual allowance tax charge. So in the 19 or 20 years or so that this consultant's been within the annual allowance zone, you can see that he will have paid an enormous £350,000 in tax, if he could have afforded that, from his post-tax income. And because he's paid the annual allowance tax himself, this has led to a slightly higher pension, and that's brought him within the realms of lifetime allowance. So you can see in row 36 we've got a lifetime allowance charge. So you can see by looking along this column in row 36 the first age at which you would have got a lifetime allowance charge, and that's different depending how you pay the tax. So we can see that if you're paying the tax yourself, this consultant first gets an LTA charge age 59, but if you look down to scheme pays all, you can see this consultant doesn't get a lifetime allowance charge all the way up until 65, and that's because the lifetime allowance is assessed after that scheme pays loan has been paid. So we can see here in row 39, this is the estimated pension, and it looks like a relatively healthy pension at £78,000, but you need to remember that's in 20 years time, so this has to be compared to this value here. So this was £50,000 in 20 years time is worth £76,000. So even if you're paying all the tax yourself, that's £350,000 of tax for this consultant. He's got a pension just over £50,000. So completely unlike the pensions that have been paid by consultants that have retired in recent years in the old legacy scheme. So then moving down to the scheme pays all option. Annual allowance paid in each year is now zero because we're now using scheme pays instead. And you can see that rather than having this bill of £349,000 because of the interest that's been charged on that loan, we've now got a loan that's worth almost £500,000, so £488,000. And then that is converted into a pension reduction. So that £488,000 becomes a pension reduction of £23,000. But because of that pension reduction, we've now, as we said before, not got a lifetime allowance charge. So if you're considering using scheme pays closer to retirement, where the interest charges will be less because it's over a shorter period of time, and you were expecting a lifetime allowance charge, it can make sense to use scheme pays to try and reduce your lifetime allowance charge. But in this example, there is no charge. So in this example, we've got an estimated pension after the actuarial reduction of £27,000 and after the scheme pays reduction of £23,000, we're left with a pension of £57,000. So that was a long way off our target pension of £76,000. So that's a pension worth approximately £36,000 or thereabouts in today's money. And then coming down to the last option, we've got the advanced and hokey option. And you can see that this value of 57,469 currently is identical to this value, and that's because by default this option's been set to be the same as scheme pays all. But I'll show you this option in the subsequent video, and we can change from being scheme pays all in 1 year, for example, to being self-pay. Or alternatively, you consider coming in and out of the scheme, or so-called hokey, also to reduce your pension charges, but also reduce the rate at which you accrue pension. So that completes the step 2B, or the retirement zone review, where you can look at your pension and taxation all the way from 55 up until predicted state pension age for most people, which will be 68, using the three models of paying annual allowance yourself or self-pay, scheme pays all, which is using the loan option to pay all of your charges, or a mix and match approach using the advanced and Hokey option. Thank you.